Today I'm going to give you a quick demonstration on how to create workflows. We will look at creating a workflow, choosing the starting event, creating the list of actions to implement the workflow. Let's look at creating a workflow to inform users they have not logged in for 6 months and their accounts will be closed. Go to Admin Workflow Manager. Click Create. Give the workflow a name. Warn and then expire users. Set the main type to user. This will determine where in the workflow list this workflow will reside. Select the appropriate starting event. In this case, we're going to use a timed event to run this once a month. Set the name. It is important to give a reasonably meaningful name, as it will help if you need to come back to the workflow at a later date. Specify to run the beginning of the next month at 7 in the morning. Set up the repeat so it runs every month. Next, we're going to set up a search. Again, set up the name. Set up the biscuit type we're going to search for as user. Add in a condition. Set the condition to compare the last login date to now and only find those which are earlier than 6 months from now. Add in conditions to ignore root and admin, as we never want to expire these accounts. Add in conditions to only check those with status of normal or password must be reset at next login. Add in a for each action. This will go through the lists of users that we have found and run the following actions for each of them. Give the action a name. First, set a condition. We want to read the results from the search, which is source number 2, and make sure the size of the list is greater than 0 before continuing. If the list size is 0, there is no reason to go any further. Now set the action. We want to work through the list returned from source number 2. Add an email action. Give it a name, warning, email. Set up the recipients. We need to set the source to 3, as we are working with what was being returned from the for each, and select biscuit.email. This will be the email of the user biscuit returned by the for each. Set up the email subject. Set up the email body. We have now created our first workflow. Let's save it. With timed events, if you are in read-only mode, there is a Run Now button to allow instantaneous checking of the workflow, rather than having to wait for the timed event to come round. Press Run Now. Let's go and see what happens. Events and actions generate system events as they are running, so let's go and have a look. Admin, System Events. In order to reduce the number of events to be displayed at once, set the start time to be just before now. Click Go. Here we can see the timed event was run. Here we can see the search was run. In the details section, we can see how many users were found and the list being output. Then we see the for each, and finally the email. Let's go back to the Workflow Manager to write the second half of the workflow. So far we are emailing the users warning them that their accounts may be expired. Next we need to automatically expire any accounts over 7 months without a login. Let's re-edit the workflow. To make things a little easier, let's copy the search action and paste it under the timed action. Edit the name to say 7 months. Edit the condition to be 7 months. Expand. Check that the for each is now referencing the correct source, 5 rather than 2. Check that the condition is now referencing the correct source, 5 rather than 2. Add action biscuit update. Change the name. Select the source of the biscuits you want to change. This will be the output from the for each. Set the status property to be expired. Set the condition so that it will only run if the value of status is not expired. It's always useful to put such a condition in if you don't want to update unless necessary. This speeds up large workflows. Click on the email action and cut it. Click on the biscuit update action. Paste the email after it. Change the name. Change the email body. Check the recipients are still correct. Save. We will now have a workflow which has one timed event. This will then trigger 2 searches. One will email a warning, one will expire the user's account. If we cared about the order we wanted these searches to be run in, we would set the action sort order. Lowest order numbers to be run first. Calpendo also has configurable rules to control who can book which resources and when, configurable permissions to control who can see or edit any information in the system, flexible management of users, projects and resources, automated and targeted email notifications.